Terumah Shlishi. So we mentioned yesterday that one of the features of the Aron were the kruvim, the cherubs that were on top of the kruvim. And there's much written about these cherubs, about these kruvim, how they looked, where they faced. All of that had special meaning. Rashi explains that the word kruvim is like the word karavia. What does karavia mean? Like a child, like a nar, like a baby. As the pasuk says, Kinar Yisrael v'Yahavav. What is exactly the meaning of having something on top of the Aron with the face of a child? What is the yesod of that? Why is that something very important? And I would like to try to explain it based on a Talmud Devorah. The Talmud Devorah is one of the great Kabbalah Sfarim that was written by Rav Moshe Cordovero, who lived in Sfas around a little bit before the Ari HaKadosh, and was one of the major Baalei Kabbalah. And the first section of his Sefer Talmud Devorah deals with the 13 principles of Rachamim, the 13 Yud Gimel Midas of Rachamim, except they're not the Yud Gimel Midas of Rachamim that we're used to, Hashem Kel Racham B'Chanun. There's another formulation of the 13 principles. That formulation we say by Slichas, we say it by Tashlech, and that's Mikel Kamaycha. That pasuk of Mikel Kamaycha is the same 13 principles in a different formulation. He explains each one and how in each one of those situations, each one of those midos, we have to emulate Hashem. The way Hashem has rachmim in each one of those specific situations, we have to emulate Hashem in our doings as well. The last two of those 13 midos, which are the biggest midos of rachmim, the greatest rachmim that Hashem has, is Asher Nishbata L'Aveisenu, that we have zechus avos, that we Hashem has rachmim on us, not on our own zechusim, but in the zechus of our forebearers. And the last one is Mimei Kedem, from days of old. That's number 13. Asher Nishbata L'Aveisenu is pretty straightforward. The avos, our previous generations, great tzaddikim, we sit on their shoulders, and their zechusim accrue to us and give us chasodim. Hashem gives us rachamim based on our parents. And the Talmud Devorah explains that we have to do the same for others. Somebody might not be roy to, some friend of ours may not be somebody that we normally would have rachamim on, but their grandparents, great-grandparents were great people. We should have rachamim on them in the zechus of their parents and great-grandparents, even if they themselves don't deserve it. But what is Mimei Kedem? And Mimei Kedem, which is the highest form of rachamim, there the Talmud Devorah explains is HaKadosh Baruch Hu's rachamim in a situation where there's nothing deserved whatsoever. How does that work? The pasuk says that when Klal Yisrael went out of Mitzrayim, Zacharti lo chesed nurayich, ahavas kol loisayich, lechtech acharei bamidbar be'eretz lo zerua. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I remember the days when you followed me out into the midbar, be'eretz lo zerua. Zacharti lo chesed, you did a chesed to me. And the question is, what chesed did we do Hashem? Hashem took us out of Mitzrayim. Somebody gets you out of jail. That person did a chesed for you. You didn't do a chesed that you followed him out of the jail. He did a chesed for you. So I think the meaning of that pasuk is something different. The pasuk means zacharti lo chesed. Chesed means chen, charm. The pasuk says, Kayamar Hashem, motza chen bamidbar. Pasuk in Yeshaya says that Klal Yisrael had chen. We had, like Esther Hamalka. The Gemara says she was a Iraq Roika. She might have had a funny complexion, but she had chen. She had charm, and that was her beauty. Zacharti lo chesed nurayach means Hashem remembers the chen. We were like a baby. We were like a child. A child, cries, soils the diaper, makes noise. The child doesn't do anything wrong. We have rachmanis on the child. No matter what aveirus the child does, no matter what bad the child does, we have rachmanis on that child. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu had rachmanis on us when we were born as a nation like a child. Whatever we did, He forgave us. It was okay. Zacharti lo chesed nurayich, I remember the charm you had as a child. And that's we say, Haben Yakeli Ephraim Alkein Homu Me'ai Loi. The HaKadosh Baruch Hu longs for those days when we were the child, when we were the little child that could do no wrong. And that's the yesod that we're talking about when we say Karavia. When you look at the kruvim have the face of a child. A child means new. A child means his chadshus. A child means the child has no aveirus. Whatever the child does is okay because he's a child. And the child is chen and beauty, and we love the child no matter what. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is telling us, look at the kruvim, be like the kruvim, be like that child. I want to remember you as that child, and I will have rachamim on you no matter what. And that's the highest form of rachamim that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has on us. We should be zeicha to that. So when the keruvim were looking at each other, and it's ish el achiv, that meant that Klal Yisrael was going in the right derech, and when they were looking apart, it meant that they were not going in the right derech. But it was a sign to us that we have to come back to that point where HaKadosh Baruch Hu looked at us with charm, and that HaKadosh Baruch Hu loved us and wanted to be close to us. That's the side of the keruvim.